Alan's phone sets off alarms for Traci, and Sharon puts Nick on the spot. The Young and the Restless, Sharon asks Nick to go to Europe with her, Chance finds some clues, and Phyllis reunites with her children. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. In a booth at Crimson Lights, Nick hands Sharon a big brownie and a lavender latte as he settles in across from her. She just got off the phone with Mariah and also spoke to Noah. As soon as she got home, she hugged Faith so hard that she made her squeak. The whole time she was captive, she thought of her kids. Nick admires her for doing that and asks if she wants to go home to rest. This is where Sharon wants to be, surrounded by people living their lives and free. Now I am too. All because of you, she says, taking his hand. She tells him she'll never take making the simplest choices for granted again. Part of taking back control of her life will be finding out who was behind all this. Sharon admits that at one point, she and Phyllis speculated on whether the kidnapper could be someone they knew, even one of their own kids. Whoever was responsible knew so much of their history. Their minds were desperate enough to wonder if one of their kids was trying to teach them a lesson. Nick is confident none of their kids would do such a thing. This all sounds like some form of extreme therapy to him. It was more like an attempted exorcism, she says. He asks if it succeeded. Sharon wants to believe that the ordeal was ironically cathartic. They were forced to come to terms with some of their issues and to save each other's lives. It's insane to Nick that this was all done for someone's entertainment. Sharon explains the voice seemed to be running some kind of psychological experiment. The person behind this must have had some experience in psychology. They knew what games would push the right buttons. She can't help but think of how similar it was to aversion therapy. It was like some twisted therapeutic intervention. Nick is just relieved they are okay. Now they need to figure out who was behind it so it will never happen again. Phyllis walks down the steps of the athletic club and into the foyer. She looks around anxiously until her children burst through the revolving doors. Once they have enjoyed a group hug, the kids say they've been worried sick. Phyllis is okay now that she's seen her babies. They settle into the dining room. A burger and fries is set before her, as well as a large glass of red wine. The children beam while they watch her gorge. Phyllis likes that she could choose between fries and a salad, but it wasn't much of a choice. She giggles about how happy she is that it's not poisoned. Her kids want to hear everything. Phyllis explains how she was trapped in a clinic with Sharon. She's not sure what the point was. It seemed to be some weird experiment to make her and Sharon work together. Summer points out that the person who did this hasn't been caught. That means she's still in danger. Her mom tells them she doesn't want them to worry more than they already have. She has Chance looking out for her, and she's determined to hunt down whoever did this. Daniel orders her not to go vigilant. He forces his mom to promise she will let this police take care of this. Phyllis explains that her captor knew all about her history with Sharon and gave them tests and riddles. She ended up being poisoned and her life reduced to a punchline for a riddle. The irony of it is that if it weren't for Sharon, she wouldn't be with her babies right now. She shares that she woke up and Sharon didn't have a heartbeat, so she had to get her alive and kicking again. Daniel asks if they worked through any of their mutual anger. With some difficulty, Phyllis admits they've developed a new appreciation for each other's strengths. Summer doesn't want to mention it, but asks if this could have been Anne's doing. It crossed her mom's mind, but Chance assured her he was cremated. This freak has to be found, sooner rather than later, Phyllis says. At Billy's place, Sally tells him that being fed clues to find Sharon and Phyllis makes this whole debacle sound like the strangest kidnapping ever. She can't believe he just dove in on tracking them down. There was no way Billy wouldn't have done that. He couldn't turn away from the slightest chance of saving Phyllis. He starts beating himself up for thinking that Phyllis bailed on him instead of realizing something was wrong. Spectra assures him this is not his fault and her captor must have told her to give her family a bogus story. As he has a drink, she tells him how glad she is that he's okay. Billy frets that if they'd been 5 minutes later, Phyllis and Sharon would have been poisoned by gas. This all sounds insane to Sally. At least there was a happy ending. Billy worries that whoever did this is still roaming the streets. They can only hope the cops find them before something even worse can be done to someone else. As Sally gives him a massage, Billy wishes he could slam whoever did this to Sharon and Phyllis, but he's more than happy to hang up his hero cape and put on his business jacket. Once he knows Phyllis is okay, he wants to concentrate on sending their company into the stratosphere. Caressing his neck, Sally says he's still a hero even if he's not wearing a cape. They kiss. Phyllis shows up at Billy's place and interrupts him and Sally. She tells them she's fine and everything is nice. She just wanted to have a conversation with Billy. Sally declares she needs to get back to the office and quickly exits. Shuddering, Phyllis admits to Billy that she's not fine. She needs her life back, and he's the only one who can help her. As she apologizes, he tells her there's no need, but she insists because she blew up their timeline. Billy reminds her that she was kidnapped. He tells her to take some time and recover. Choking up, Phyllis explains that what helped her when she was in captivity wasn't only thinking of her kids, but thinking of what Abbott Communications could accomplish. Leaping up, she goes on about how they can change things for the better and build something great. It's important to her and she needs it now. Today, not tomorrow, not one day when I feel better. Please, please, she begs. This is the only way she will get past what was taken from her. Billy is worried she will take on more than she can handle right now, but she insists she needs the excitement and energy. When Phyllis brings up the press release, Billy awkwardly confesses that he was an idiot and put it out without her name attached to it when he thought she went AWOL on him. He's sorry for that. It was a mistake, and he realized that very quickly. Billy knows she would never bail on him, and he soon realized she was in trouble. "Do you want me to work with you?" she asks, "or is this a messy thing?" He says he needs her fire. There's no one on the planet he'd rather do this with. When he asks for her forgiveness, she says of course she forgives him, he saved her life. Phyllis runs into Billy's arms and he squeezes her as she looks emotional. Chance and his crew search the basement of the medical clinic. He gives them instructions on what to look for, but assumes that the culprit left no traces. The place has been trashed, but there could still be some fingerprints that don't belong to the two victims. If they can do that, they'll be one step closer to finding out who did this. As he searches, he pulls the covers off the gas tap and discovers that the device that triggered it to leak is still there. The detective calls for a bag and takes the device. Later, Chance walks into Crimson Lights and finds Nick and Sharon together. The cop explains that they bagged some items at the clinic and are waiting to see if they get a hit on the fingerprints. They were able to chase the purchase of a remote-controlled apparatus attached to the gas line. It was bought at a hardware store not far from the clinic. Chance says they will go through the store's surveillance footage to look for a suspect. Sharon says no one hated her as much as Phyllis, and now that isn't even true. The cop suspects the abductor could be someone they know. Nick is sure there is a whole list of people who are enemies of Phyllis. Sharon is sure that if anyone can catch the monster who did all this, it's Chance. The cop urges her to get some rest. Nick backs this up, reminding her of her plans to go to Sedona. On second thought, Nick suggests she take Faith to Europe to see Noah. She agrees that now would be a good time to go, but only if Nick goes with them. In her suite at the athletic club, Traci picks up Alan's buzzing phone and sees a text that reads, "Security breach at clinic. Precautions enacted." As she puzzles over that, Alan enters, excited to take her out until he notices she's holding his phone. She explains his phone was making strange noises and she grabbed it, seeing the odd text. Taking the phone from her hand, Alan turns away for a minute and then claims he's been seeing alerts for a few days. Fearing he's been hacked, he hasn't opened his phone. That's why he was so stunned when he saw her with his phone. That makes sense to Traci, who suggests he get a new phone. She suddenly remembers that he must have opened his phone to text her earlier. As they sit, he chuckles and says he must have been so excited to see her that he forgot about the risk. They talk about how his identity might have been stolen. He ponders what that would feel like and how useful it would be as a therapist to go through the kind of psychological devastation that must involve. It would be an interesting experiment to experience those feelings. She reminds him that he already did when his brother Martin was pretending to be him. Alan changes the topic back to their wedding, and she throws out a few options, including the Abbott Manse once it has had its refresh. Traci also considered Paris, since they have so many memories of getting to know each other there. She wants their wedding to be perfect. He's happy to marry her anywhere. As they kiss, his phone starts pinging with more alerts. She wonders what kind of hack this could be. Alan snaps about her asking about the phone and shuts it off. Apologizing, he explains he's just stressed out. He thinks they need to concentrate on being in love, and the idea of getting married in Paris is growing on him. He suggests they jump on a jet and check out some venues.